What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Rivcast. I'm your host, Neil Ray, and today we have a very exciting episode with special guest, Professor Robert Coutoumas. Cue applause, cue applause.
Hello.
Welcome.
No,
thank you so much for coming.
It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad we finally got to get this going.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
exciting. Our first guest of the year. Oh my God.
Great.
Absolutely excited.
Here we go.
My 10 viewers are probably excited. But, anyways, please tell us about yourself a little bit. Tell the fans
for
who
sure.
may not know you.
Yeah, well, again, thanks, Neil, for scheduling me in here. So I'm Bob Coutoumas. I would guess the theme of today is homecoming, because for me, this is like coming home. So I'm a National High grad from back in the day, but I was raised in this neighborhood where the Learning Commons is. That property was owned by the McCann family back in the 50s and 60s. And he was my best friend, Matt McCann. Still is my best friend.
Shout out Matt McCann.
But I was raised in that building for the most part.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, and I think we've talked about this before. So, and my sister and my brother Rick lives over on Learned Street behind Haywoods. My sister's on Roby Street. So what's happened and transpired over the last 40 years is all roads have kind of led back to Riviera here. So, so it's just great being here. And I guess my first real indoctrination to Riviera was in the early 90s. I was a manager of materials at Sanders, BAE. And I grew quickly into the management ranks, but I had no professional managerial training. So I mean, my undergraduate degree from Springfield College was counseling. Okay. So I somehow got into manufacturing and worked my way up, and they said to me, look, Bob, you're going to need a bit more experience or training. So sure enough, some friends and we came over here to Riviera, and I met I guess one of the founders, Dr. George Shigori. Yep. Way
it's
back.
A business department OG for anybody who does not know. Built this place.
Yeah. So I was in his class and his classes, and I got my MBA here in '95. And to this day, I always look back because I was in business in Germany, in Dusseldorf, and the ceremony. I didn't get to attend the graduate ceremony, so I still wished I had done that. But so then I got into the business world, Neil, and from Sanders, BAE. I've been fortunate enough to lead several companies, primarily at the C level, whether it's been manufacturing, distribution, and most recently in the last 10 to 15 years, in the IT division of Bank of America. Yep. And the big one was as a director at Informatica, world's leading data analytics firm. So I spent several years there. And then, COVID hit. I got sick. Like many leaders, they take a step back and go, "What am I doing? Yep. What do I want to do going forward?" And then I realized it was time to parachute out corporate America and think about what I wanted to do next. And I knew then and there, back to my roots with counseling and teaching. And also consulting, because I'm a helper by nature. Yeah, totally. So I have a question for you. Do you feel, this is before you got your MBA, do you feel that it is difficult to manage people without proper training or experience, stuff like that, or do you feel like it came to you easily? No, I mean, as you've heard in some of the classes, I tell lots of stories about my mistakes, mistakes that could have been prevented with more training. So, that's, and folks, you and others here in class, I'm trying to tell you the real stories about the mistakes, but I needed more training. I got lucky that I have more wins on the register than losses. But, if there was a way, and through internships we do that, to get kids that are just about to enter the business world, some more of that almost boot camp like training to learn just how difficult and competitive it is in the business world. Okay. Hopefully I've answered your question. No, you did, 100%. No, I was very curious because I feel like there's definitely a disparity between
natural leaders or somebody who's been through like rigorous training and courses to really have the skills to truly lead people. I feel like there's definitely a difference.
Yeah, you as an athlete know this. I think, I was a 3-sport athlete at Nashua High, and I was an athlete at Springfield lacrosse. I think athletes tend to have some sort of advantage rolling into leadership. So was I a natural leader? Not necessarily, but I think a lot of my leadership skills developed in athletics and coaching. So yeah, it all kind of melded itself together.
No, totally. I get that. So shifting back towards Riviere, can you give us a little bit of a window into what the Riviere business program used to look like for any current business students or potential students?
Sure.
Take us back in time.
Yeah, I mean, just going way back in time. Coming from, I worked over in NHQ off the highway, coming here into Dr. Shigori's office, back in one of the buildings back there. It's just Dr. Shigori, and it's this tiny little program, and really, there weren't a lot of opportunities out there, I think, for MBA programs back then. There was no SNU. There was nothing. There was really, that was the place to go, and he was so hands-on, and the classes were small, so you had to bring your A game, every day. So I think that helped out. But then as I transitioned into the business world, in senior management, and then at Bank of America in 2016, I was out of the Boston office in technology, and I was just, not that I was lonely, but I was working from home and going into the Boston office maybe once or twice a month. Something was missing. So, I just said, geez, what about teaching?
Yeah, you need that interaction. I mean, we're connected-based people, that's how we are as a species, so I totally understand.
Yeah, absolutely. So I came down and I met Amir Tusi. So, and again, there's a kind of a midway to that. The offices weren't in the setup they were at now. It was better. It was a little bigger, but, I met Amir and a few other, Mark Meehan and a few others, and I went through a fairly rigorous interview.
Really?
And it was challenging, and they accepted me and asked me to teach strategies of innovation in the MBA program.
Okay.
Which was a great experience.
They enjoyed that.
Yeah, and it was a big international student base, so that was
still is.
It was new to me. So, but then I got the call to join Informatica. And we've talked about LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It was basically a LinkedIn message from someone I knew, basically saying, what are you doing now? What are you up to? 2 weeks later, I'm building a team of leaders around the world.
There you go.
And that went on for 5 years. We went public. I knew the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
And 500 folks were let go, and I was on the first wave of it. So it was, quite frankly, something I was already planning for.
Yeah.
And we've talked in class, always have your plan B.
Yeah.
Plan B ready to
Seriously,
go.
I mean, it's hugely important to be flexible and adaptable in the business world. I mean, that's a big takeaway for anybody listening, to see somebody with real experience who has been able to go with the flow and find themselves in positions to succeed, regardless of where it is.
Absolutely. So, so from there, that was in 2022, and I picked up a large assignment, job at a company of a name nameless, leading their Workday implementation for their HR systems. And as I said, I got sick, and then I got COVID, and I wasn't pleased working totally remotely in the dynamics.
Yeah.
And first time in my career, called them up and I quit.
Yeah.
I didn't quit, but I just said, this isn't working.
This is what you want.
This is what I want. But before I did that, someone had reached out to me about consulting. So I had a 6-month consulting contract lined up.
Gotcha.
So I just didn't, leave high and dry.
Yeah, you had another avenue.
Had another avenue, and at the same time, I came back to Amir. Basically, when I came back to the new offices, I walked in. I said, this is unbelievable. Just the way the structure is set up, the offices. I was so impressed with, and as you know, being an athlete, you want to be on a winning team. Okay, it's about the team. You don't want to be the superstar on a losing team.
Yeah.
So when I met, seeing Amir again, and I met Professor Jim, Professor Russ,
Yep.
Dr. Shari, and
It's
Amy.
a good lineup.
Amy, who's the glue.
Yeah.
That keeps that.
She's the point guard. She's
the point guard.
running the whole offense.
She's the operations
Yep.
VP of that group,
Absolutely.
and I knew right then and there that there's something going on here, and that's when I started to really look at my career and retrenching and focusing in.
Mm-hmm. No, and that perfectly transitioned us into, so now we've heard about what the department used to be like. You had your experience, you went to different companies, and now you've come back. What is the growth that you have seen coming from outside? Because a lot of us being here, obviously we've seen growth on the small scale, but
Right.
It's hard for us to see the big picture because we are right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I think the growth is a couple of ways. Educationally, I look at the product of the portfolio that a student sees in front of them here. You've got we got sports management now.
Yep.
You've got cybersecurity, homeland security. There's different flights now. So now I see an emerging undergraduate program, an emerging MBA program, a growing cyber and homeland security program. So the growth has been in a couple of areas. It's been in the portfolio and the offerings out to the student.
Yeah.
But there's also the sheer numbers. Just roughly from my understanding, in the last year, there's been close to a 20% growth.
Yeah.
Just year over year. And that in itself is striking, because I was just looking at something online yesterday, and New Hampshire universities are seeing a drop.
Really?
A drop, and I sent that to Professor Jim. So meanwhile, there's been a drop, but Riviere
Continuing to go up.
continues to grow. So,
Yeah.
and I think, I think I'm fairly close on this, but over an 11-year period, there's been like a 200%.
Yep, I remember.
growth.
I remember seeing that number. Just something ridiculous. That's like, if you're running a university, it's like something that you can't even fathom. Like seriously, like we're gonna double this by. I mean, it's just. It's like a snowball that you just can't stop. It just keeps getting better. But I mean, something that I've noticed with all of the growth, just since I've been here, is that they're not losing that connection to students that makes the program so unique.
Yeah.
There's so many schools with these huge programs in all different fields, but they're missing that crucial piece of like that personal connection. Where as we get bigger, I mean, the last 4 years we've had record class sizes for Riviere throughout its entire history, but I still feel more connected to the department than I have ever,
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
so
Just
well.
in the office today, and someone came by, hey, Professor Bob, thanks for the speech in business law the other day. I really learned a lot from that. It's like, it's like
It's so
there's this
connected.
there's this connectivity. It's like the open door from the professors to the students, which, quite frankly, not to pick on the competition, but that's rare right now.
No, we're happy to pick on the competition because, especially for any prospective students out there, don't be daunted by big class sizes and big stuff like this that may seem favorable. When it comes down to it, you can't ask your professor in a 300-kid auditorium, oh, what about this? What about this? He doesn't even know your name. You know what I mean? I mean, I remember 2 summers ago, I was looking for an internship. I was trying to figure out my next steps, and I asked Professor Meehan, I'm like, hey, do you have any opportunities? And within a week, he set me up with a guy, and then me and him ended up meeting, and I had my internship. And that's a huge resume point for me now that I can sell to other companies. And it's like stuff like that where I couldn't ask the dean of business for help on something in a huge now I'm personally connected with these people.
What I found amazing was 4, 5, 6 years back, Amir was doing this anyways on top of managing this growing enterprise. So it's just kudos to him, and obviously the board and the leadership here to make that investment, in his organization, in the technology. And I would think the last piece of growth that I've seen is the facilities.
Oh, yeah.
As I said, the Learning Commons, just all the buildings.
Sylvia looks like a spaceship now from freaking, I mean, it's unbelievable. If anybody remembers, I know, seriously, like, obviously you, but, like, people are migrated and stuff like that. The one before, I mean, Sylvia used to look like, it used to just, it wasn't it didn't have the same allure now that it has with all of this amazing tech and resources and workspaces. Like it is just it's got a face swap, you know.
Yeah.
And now it's like one of the most advanced buildings on campus, probably in Nashua. You know?
Yeah, this really reminds me a lot of my undergraduate at Springfield College. I know as a volleyball player, you've probably been at that campus, but it's a very family culture.
We're gonna get to this here.
I'm not sure what room for Rip, obviously, but no, it's a very focused family. You know, it's just a special place, and so just the growth here. And lastly, I was coming around the corner the other day, and I just saw people going up and down the sidewalks and crossing over. Like, holy cow!
It's a lot.
This is the real
alive.
Deal. This place is alive.
No,
so.
seriously, especially coming from my freshman year was COVID year, so obviously, I mean, you have your on-campus students pretty much cut in half. I mean, now we have forced triples in Guild, and we used to have all singles, you know, which is not even, kids can't even comprehend that, you know. They're fighting to get a double in there.
Exactly.
But we used to have everybody, because there was nobody was on campus, you know.
No.
And now to see it, it is like, it's like a metropolis, you know what I mean? Like everybody is just bustling everywhere, and
I'd have to
so
say,
much fun.
you know, what I'm seeing so far, again, it's really eye-opening for me. This is one of the best-kept secrets from a university standpoint in New England. I think the secret's no secret anymore, but
it's out.
It's out, so it's just a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, no, so I couldn't agree more. And honestly, like, I think that, I mean, it's just moving in such a good direction, too. You know, Dr. Chusi was talking to me and about there's a new cybersecurity management MBA program coming this summer, like some serious leadership potential and a huge new opportunity, as well as a ton of more programs coming. I mean, just in the last 4 years, we've added sport management, cybersecurity, and homeland is huge now. Like you were saying, like it's just this whole department is just growing.
Yeah, I was talking with a business leader this morning, and we mentioned cyber, and I said, just Riviera now offers under us an MBA in cybersecurity.
Yep.
That to me is a strategic play that is so needed right now because people need that training. They'll understand the technology, of cybersecurity and pen tests and database management, but to understand how to lead that effort going forward, many chief information security officers don't have that.
Yeah. I mean, especially think about the job market right now. I mean, having an MBA at a time like this is such a huge step in putting yourself above other candidates.
Absolutely.
I mean, anybody looking for a job right now can, I'm sure, attest to how difficult it is to get your foot in the door and to get to the next step of an interview process. Like, having that one up on a candidate that may be similar to you is like monumental, especially in a tough time right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too the differentiator too is affordability. You're able. I mean, college isn't cheap. We know that, but it is affordable. I think the scholarships are probably decent. So you can matriculate your way into the business world, and hopefully not be carrying a lot of debt going forward. So. Again, what I've seen over the years, it's almost stunning what I've seen. I've just been traveling back and forth to California for several years to do business, and then even today coming into the library, I'm like, this is unbelievable. It really is.
No, I totally agree. I think also with the forward thinking and the innovation, and especially the diversity right now with all of the programs being interconnected, especially the MBA program having a huge influx of international students. I know for my international business class right now, we have had certain classes where international students will come in and share their experience, and we can ask them questions, and we can all kind of like have a little bit of a melting pot and figure out kind of what's different, what's new, what can we learn from each other. I mean, just last week we were up on the field playing cricket. They were showing us how to play, and it was a blast. I wasn't very good, but it was a blast.
Yeah,
just stuff like that. The opportunity is
Bangalore
huge.
team at Informatica.
Oh yeah,
they used to send me videos of their cricket, but there's also a local component. I don't know if I shared with you, but my son got his degree from Riviera. My daughter took courses here. I got my MBA here. I can just. Dating myself, I can remember my father taking economics here in the 70s.
So it's been a family affair.
It's been a family affair, so there's this family feel here, but then there's this influx of international.
Family's getting bigger.
The family's getting bigger, and it's multicultural, and it's worldwide now.
I could not agree more. I think we are headed in the right direction in so many ways.
Absolutely.
And it's exciting to be a part of, and I'm excited to look back, and when I'm out 10 years and I turn back, and obviously there's going to be a million things, and I'm like, oh, they didn't have that when I was there, but I'm excited to see where it goes after I depart.
Yeah,
It's
someone else
somewhere
had said
I'm
that
proud.
the other day in passing. That gee, I wish Riv had that when I was here.
And just wait,
You know.
it'll happen. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you the MBA offered here versus the one I had in '95. It's much more robust.
Yeah. No.
At this point, I can tell you that.
No, I totally agree. But shifting off of that, you have some personal business ventures going on that we would love to hear about.
Yeah,
If you'd like to tell us a little bit about your consulting coming out.
Yeah, again, just doing business all across America. I've been to just about every state. I've traveled internationally, Europe, Finland, Sweden. There comes a time, though, when you want to take that knowledge and you want to give it back. So as part of the strategy, and again, a lot of this was just on the back of an envelope.
Yeah.
You're sitting in a restaurant thinking about this stuff. I decided I still have some stuff to tell, to do.
Yeah.
So I created Strategic Solutions 603 LLC, primarily focused on emerging companies in New Hampshire to help those businesses who may not have a general manager or a VP of operations or someone to lead the sales team or professional services group. So I'm not heavily marketing it, but quite frankly, my main focus is Riviera right now.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that if someone hears that this is out there, and my phone rings, say, Bob, could you come in for 2 to 3 weeks? Could you just look at this process, document it, come back with maybe some recommendations?
Just get us on the right track.
Get us on the right track
People need that.
and get out.
No, I hear you. Well, sometimes
we don't want you hanging
businesses
around
need
too
that.
long. So.
Yeah, they need a little kick sometimes.
Yeah, I don't consider myself a consultant. I mean, people say, you a consultant? I said, not really. I'm a problem solver, I'm a teacher, I'm a mentor. I'm going to tell you the truth. You hear it in your classes. He speaks the truth.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can ask for.
That's
from a
all I can
professor
do
or a
right now,
consultant.
too. So that's out there, too.
That's exciting.
So that's my world right now. It's
Yeah.
Riviera and helping New Hampshire businesses, on a very, very small scale.
Yeah,
Very
that's a great world.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course, absolutely. I got one more question for you, little off the top. Okay, if you had 3 main pieces of advice you could give to potential business students, current business students, future business students, what would they be? Off the top of your head, what are 3 big things you say this is important if you are someone who wants to succeed in business?
And I know this sounds oversimplified, but show up every day.
Yep.
Show up every day, put your head down and do the work. Okay, I think that is paramount. At least in the second part of that would be early in your career, do as much as you can to help the company, because there's a lot of what's in it for me stuff going on, and I'm not sure I want to do that. What's in it for me?
It's not what companies really they want.
They don't want that right now. They will, the good companies, if you are good in your selection process, you will get paid back in spades. So I would say, show up, do the work, and sure, you can whine and complain, but try to do that on your own time.
Yeah. Nobody likes that coworker.
No, and it's the same as on a sports team. I'm
Totally.
not playing enough. How come I didn't get in?
No, be a good teammate.
Be a good teammate, I would say, and
So true.
be honest. If your leader asks you to do something and it's a stretch for you, say, look, I really want to do this, but I can't do it justice.
Yeah.
I'd be on the team. I can help out, but someone asked me to do that. I say, if it's digital media related and it's podcast, I say, go to Neil. Neil would be the perfect guy to do this. I can help him out from a process and some technical research standpoint, but tell the truth. Don't sign up for stuff you can't do. And the last piece of advice is probably going to 4 now is this is a marathon. Business world's a marathon.
Yeah, not a sprint.
It's not a sprint. And if you think you're going to be making $100,000 out of the get-go and be managing a team of 10 people and that's going to take several years to get to that point. But I guess the main theme of this is just be true to yourself and true to the company that has chosen you.
Yeah. Well, those are great pieces of advice. I hope everybody has their notebooks out at home and they're jotting this stuff down. This is crucially important information. You're not going to want to miss it. But again, thank you so much. We're going to get into our Riv Rex session now. So everybody keep the notebooks out and be writing down, okay? So I have my first recommendation, and it's a movie. And as you guys can see, it's fall out, so it's the most fall movie I could think of, and that's Fantastic Mr. Fox, directed by Wes Anderson. So this is one of my favorite movies of all time, okay, an absolute classic. So I may be biased, but it is based originally on a children's book by Roald Dahl, but it is twisted in a very fun way. So like I said, very fall-y, good vibes, a lot of leaves changing, so please watch, super enjoyable, a lot of fun. And my album recommendation is This It by The Strokes. Dubbed the coolest band in rock and roll, and they're consistently putting out great music, and this is an awesome indie rock record that will totally change your view on current and past rock and roll. So check that out. My favorite track is Someday. All right, Bob, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Well, I got a few too. I mean, you're
Please.
thinking about
I would
movies.
love to hear them.
You know, I guess it's kind of on the fall theme too, and Homecoming, but one of my go-to movies, good and bad times, is The Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz, classic, love it.
Without a doubt, it was the first movie to release in Technicolor.
Yep.
But the three main characters, he had a brain, he had a heart, okay, and he had courage.
Yeah.
Just didn't know it. So, so that's my go-to
That's
movie.
a great recommendation. Absolute classic.
It is, and from an album standpoint, I guess I'm going to date myself, but I've got three main go-to albums.
Let's hear them.
And they
Keep
are,
the notebooks out. Get the Spotify's up.
And some of you may have them, some of you may not. But Eat a Peach by the Allman
Classic.
Brothers, Europe '72
Yep.
by the Grateful Dead, and one of my way back is Made in Japan by Deep Purple.
Ooh, okay.
That
Deep
is
Purple.
a tremendous.
That's a deep cut. I like it.
That's a tremendous live album. But yeah, those things really kind of leads me into a final comment. From my business career standpoint, quote the Grateful Dead, it's been a long, strange trip. I will say that. But as Dorothy Gale said, being a Rivier, there's no place like home.
Beautiful. Look at that connection. Oh my God. He's a natural. He's going to be running this. He's going to be running this show.
No.
Oh,
No,
God.
but again, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you
These
for
are
coming
exciting
on.
times.
They really
Absolutely.
are. Thank you so much.
All right.
And we're going to wrap up here now. And just a final shout out, I wanted to say excellent job for all the fall athletes now that we are wrapping up. I've been following all of you guys' seasons, and it has been so much fun to watch. I mean, come on. Women's soccer and field hockey in the playoffs for the first time in how long? Oh my God. Unbelievable. Just so much excitement. We loved cheering you guys on. Men's soccer, everybody's had such a great year. So I just wanted to shout out you guys and say well done. And some other things coming up on November 8th. We have the fashion show that's being run by Ian Wade. So everybody keep your eyes peeled for that. If you'd like to model, please let him know. Getting that set up, so that'll be super exciting. Keep your eyes peeled. And that just about does it for us. So thank you again for tuning in. Once again, I'm your host, Neil Ray. Hope you guys have a wonderful day and a wonderful rest of the semester. We'll see you soon with some new content.